Imagine a village deep in history, suddenly consumed by panic. The night sky darkens during a lunar eclipse, and the streets erupt. People are frantically beating drums, screaming into the darkness, and firing their weapons straight up at the stars. They were fighting a very specific threat. As the moon turned blood red and faded, the public genuinely believed a massive, invisible space serpent was actively unhinging its jaw and swallowing it whole. It is easy from our modern vantage point to write this off as simple stupidity, but these people were not lacking intelligence. They were the victims of a specific breakdown in how language operates. Over a century ago, an Islamic scholar named Bediüzzaman Said Nursi diagnosed this exact problem. In a highly detailed text known as the Fifth Mukaddime of his work Muhakemat, he broke down the mechanics of human misunderstanding. He observed that language is a fragile technology. When knowledge degrades, poetic metaphors harden into literal facts, turning what should be a transparent lens into a massive wall that obscures reality. To see how this breakdown happens, we travel centuries backward. Early astronomers meticulously mapped the intersecting orbital paths of the sun and moon. Tracking the exact nodes where eclipses occur required a conceptual shorthand. They called the intersection point the mouth of the serpent. Inside the walls of an observatory, everyone understood the code. But eventually, this highly specific phrasing left the protected environment of the academy and passed into the hands of the uneducated public. Without mathematical context, the public was left with the terrifying image of a snake eating the moon. This error birthed generations of fear. The drums and gunfire were desperate rituals to save the moon from a beast existing only in misunderstood vocabulary. When a metaphor is divorced from its original operating instructions, it stops being an instrument of scientific measurement and becomes an instrument of public fear. Nursi deconstructs the mechanical function of this failure using a simple optical analogy. He argues that a metaphor is designed to function exactly like a transparent pane of glass or the wick of a lamp. When the mechanism works perfectly, you don't stare at the glass itself. The pane is there simply to allow the light of an actual, concrete truth to shine directly through to the observer. Mistaking the glass for reality turns the metaphor opaque. This creates two extremes. Extreme literalism builds a solid brick wall where a window should be. Extreme symbolism shatters that wall into dust, leaving the observer floating in an empty void, completely detached from physical reality. Discovering the truth requires holding the tension of the middle way. Leaning too far into rigid literalism or boundless symbolism destroys our grip on reality. Nursi prescribes a specific cure for this condition in his conclusion, or hatime. He insists that truth must be carefully verified using the filters of logic and wisdom to distinguish the metaphor from the fact. Linguistic erosion follows a universal law of information that extends far beyond medieval observatories. Today, we are constantly bombarded by highly technical concepts wrapped in rhetorical analogies. Physicists speak of the God particle, and we store our entire digital lives in cloud computing. Taking these modern symbols literally, imagining physical water vapor holding our emails, drives modern misinformation. Conversely, treating hard data as mere symbols fuels the exact same kind of societal panic seen during ancient eclipses. A metaphor is a tool, not a destination. To survive the modern flood of information, we must actively remember how to look through the glass, rather than staring blindly at the glass itself.